What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte versus Oscar Rivas is the interim mandated spot. So, in other words, who wins that fight will be the mandatory for the WBC belt. Okay? Now, that's a big if. You know, we've seen Ray Ruiz and Anthony Joshua. And we see Dillian Whyte fighting an undefeated guy in Oscar Rivas, which is a very good fighter. You know, he's a good fighter. You know, he upset Brian Jennings, and Brian Jennings is no slouch, people. You know, he is a decent fighter himself, and the people that he's lost to has been some of the best or the top fighters of today. Vladimir Klitschko, Luis Ortiz, and now Oscar Rivas joins those two in defeating Brian Jennings. Okay, so that's his name of fame, just like Luis Ortiz has, right? So he's just as good as Luis Ortiz. The only difference, Luis Ortiz has buzz, of course, because he was attached to other people's name, you know, in potential fights with them, including Dillian Whyte. Now, Dillian Whyte fighting Rivas is a good it's a good move. Why? Because the only person Luis Ortiz has beaten is Brian Jennings. Right? So if he beats the guy that beat Brian Jennings, you know, that's another mark, another credit to him, and really dequalifying the fact, or the only legitimate fight, or not the only, but one of the best, or the best fighter that Luis Ortiz has fought. And then Luis Ortiz is lost to who? Deontay Wilder. So all these guys are together with, you know, with similar interest of guys that they beat. You know, the foundation is broken from up under certain fighters when those fighters that they beat get beaten, right? So I like that idea that they should be the mandatory. What does that mean? That means that since Deontay Wilder has fulfilled his mandatory, he has a voluntary, which is Luis Ortiz. Of course, he's fighting him for a rematch. I think now it's in September or October. I think October was the latest date that was hashed out. But then, depending on who wins that fight, if Deontay can get past Luis Ortiz once again, which a lot of people think he will do, then the question is, what will the WBC do? So, what have they done? All right. Will they make that fight between Dillian Whyte and have another mandatory, or will they go for the gusto and allow Deontay Wilder to fight Tyson Fury? You know, with the past history of the WBC, I think they would let the Fury fight happen before the Dillian Whyte fight. Why? Because it's a bigger fight. It's more money to be made, especially here in America. Tyson Fury's being marketed here in America, so I think they're going to go for that, and they will allow it. People, understand something about the WBC. This is the same organization that had a purse bid first prolonged, right? For a week. Then after that week happened, they prolonged it again. After the second week, they prolonged it indefinitely. So they didn't even follow their own fucking rules, people. Okay? That fight's supposed to win for a purse bid, meaning other networks could bet on that fight to where that fight will take place. And they did not want it. The WBC intervened on some weird-ass kind of way and blamed it on both sides. Both sides wanted this. And we can clearly see that was bullshit, because at the same time, Tyson Fury was signing with ESPN. So we know that was BS by that point. How could both sides want it to be prolonged? You know, it was Wilder's side, obviously, that wanted to be prolonged, because they wanted to work on the deal. And, you know, they were in tight and in good with the WBC, and the WBC let them do what they wanted to do. So if the WBC is lenient like that, what makes you think that they're going to be lenient like that to Dillian Whyte? That's the question. So Dillian Whyte is that guy that's sitting back, doing all the right things for the WBC. Then it seems like to me, Dillian Whyte really is in the same. is number one in the wrong sanctioning body, honestly, because he's in one of the most corrupt. Because these guys will let anything happen. Also, these guys, the WBC, are the same people that mandated a Tyson Fury fight. And what are they doing in regards? If that's the case, if they mandated a fight, Tyson Fury told them to, right? If he did that, and that's what he did, and he went to ESPN or whatnot, and he didn't take the fight, they should have penalized Tyson Fury for even fighting for the WBC. You see what I'm saying? Now, all of a sudden, they're cool with Tyson Fury again, even though he broke the rules and told them, go fuck yourself. You know what I'm saying? So it answers a lot of questions. And if the WBC allows Deontay Wilder to fight Tyson Fury, which I'm pretty sure they're going to do, they're just showing that they have no legitimacy towards their own rules. Okay? They don't even follow their own rules. They make them, so I guess they can break them. I guess the rules of the land. You know what I'm saying? So, so that's that for for Dillian Whyte. So we have to wait and see what happens, in this fight, because this is going to be a very good fight, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing Oscar Rivas taking on Dillian Whyte. Because Dillian Whyte is a guy, he's learning, he's learned a lot, he's smart, he's a heavy banger, he comes forward, but he's learning finesse and along with fire. Oscar Rivas is that guy that people are overlooking. That's a no-no. Don't do that, because that's what happened last weekend, right? So we have to see what happens in this fight. We have to see how it's going to go. But it looks good for Dillian Whyte. He is fighting his way to the top. His journey is long and hard. Other journeys have not been as hard as Dillian Whyte, but that's why he is who he is. So anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Dillian Whyte versus Oscar Rivas being the interim mandated spot. Okay? Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.